Welcome to Enots Engineering. I'm Alan. In today's video I'm looking at the Boxford lathe and the number of changes and additions that I've added to it in the past 50 years. So let's go into the workshop, take a look. This is my Boxford lathe. I've had this lathe for about 50 years. I bought it second hand in 1972. I think it cost £650, which to an apprentice was a lot of money. But I spent the first 15 years in my father's workshop, and ever since then it's been in my workshop. And my father made a few modifications to it, and that's what I'm going to show you today. Some of the modifications I've made and my father made to this lathe. The first thing we'll look at is the gearbox on the end. One tip is I always put a piece of rubber in the end of the spindle, because when you're machining you get swarf coming through here, drops into your gears and ends up down the bottom. So to prevent the swarf coming through, this is just a rubber bung, it goes in the end, blocks the hole. This red part here is just tape, insulation tape, which is wrapped around the nut on the end, because in there is a magnet that's fitted, and this is the sensor that gives me the revolutions per minute of the spindle. The tape makes it easier to clean swarf off the magnet. So that's the only two modifications I've done on the gearbox end. Everything else seems to work okay. So I'll close the door. This is my digital readout. It's one of the best, well, the second best update I've done on the lathe. This is my rev counter. I'll switch this on. These are the different speeds. I've got to about 900 on this, but if I change my pulley in the cabinet underneath, I'll go over 1,000. So that's about the slowest I can get on that pulley. But as I say, if I change my pulleys, I can go slower. This is my 2-axis readout. It's getting quite old now, it's probably 10 years. Still works. One of the best things that I fitted to the lathe, makes it a lot easier to know where your tool is in relation to the workpiece. Now you can see there the top of the lathe is relatively clean, and that's because my father made a tray that goes on the top. I'll show you the tray. This is the tray. There are some stretchers going across, 2 rubber pads there, one this side, and that drops over the back gear lever, so you can still operate the back gear. On the top there, it's a nice tray. Put your tools in, the micrometer, and it's handy. All he had to do to the lathe was fit these 2 studs to stop the tray sliding back. I use it all the time. This is my cutting oil. This is in a little tin with a brush, and I also use this knitting needle to put a little dab of oil on something. And to stop it tipping over, there's a magnet on the bottom, so that stays where it is. The next item I think most people have is a block of wood. It sits on the bed. for when you're changing your chuck. You'll drop your chuck once or twice on the bed and then realise you need a block of wood. The next thing on the lathe that I fitted was a little bracket here, and that holds my speed control, which I've just made a bracket on the back, clips into there, holds it in position. I can take this off if I need to, put it there, control for my speed, stop and start, forward and backwards, and jog. This is another aluminium item I made. It's just an old number plate off a car, and what I've done is bent the end over. That fits on the top there, just slides under the gap between the top slide and the saddle, and that bit there stops the swarf falling on your hand. So the swarf comes off, hits this and stays on the top rather than hitting the back of your hand. After you've had some hot swarf hit the back of your hand a few times, you'll think about making something to stop it. Now the next item is, where did I locate the box for the digital speed control? I'll just show you where that is. Now the control unit for the speed of the motor is here. This is where the lamp transformer used to be, a massive transformer for your lamp. So I took that out, changed the lamp to an LED which works off 12 volt, and I had this space here that the transformer used to be there but I wasn't using it, so I removed the transformer, cut the two brackets out, and this is the inverter that controls the speed. I will switch the lathe on. It tells you there the speed that it's running at, and lets me do a variable speed, forward, reverse or jog. That's probably the best update that I've made to this lathe. I've no worries now when the tool's coming up to the chuck. You just turn the knob, slow it right down until this tool virtually touches the chuck. No worrying about ploughing into the chuck. So if I turn the hand control speed knob, you can see (108 revs per minute. If we look up at the chuck, there we go, that's about the slowest I can go. That's 36 revs a minute. The beauty of the speed control and the digital motor is that I don't have to change the belts. Very rarely change the belt on the machine. The belts are all still there. It works off the same set of pulleys, but I don't have to change anything unless I want it to go faster or slower still. I use this baking tray as a swarf tray that just goes under there, and on this side another piece of metal that my father made is this, just a piece of sheet metal, and that slides in there, rests on the edge of the cabinet or the tray, and that's another place where you can put your chuck keys, bits and pieces. They don't get covered in swarf and they're off the bed. If you're using coolant, they're not sitting in the coolant. Another modification was an LED lamp in here. It used to have a 12 volt glass bulb, normal screw thread light bulb, running off the transformer that used to be in the housing where the speed controller is. So there's a switch at the bottom, switch the lamp on. It's bright enough and it's only 12 volt. I removed the original 1950s transformer. Well, that's all the modifications I've made to the lathe. That's 10 modifications. Most of them are simple, but they do help when you're using your lathe. Oh well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Hope that was useful. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time on Enots Engineering.